Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson here from ZeldaDungeon.net, and you are watching our video walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks for the Nintendo DS. This is the third chapter of the walkthrough, and we have just completed the Forest Temple / Wooded Temple, which has restored part of the Tower of Spirits. With the new floors on the tower now accessible, we will be returning there to get the next rail map, aka Glyph. Along the way, though, there is some nifty things we can acquire in Castletown, so start heading that direction using the whistle to scare off these school Choo-Choos along the way. Sorry, sometimes I get a little train in me. Now, as you return to the open grasslands of the Forest Realm, you'll then witness a short scene in which the trains are transforming into dark trains. Oh no, don't you just hate it when that happens? Now, they now move much faster and will purposefully try to corner you, so it's kind of like playing Pac-Man, except that you're much more limited in where you can go. Now, alright, you can see here that on the map there is this train that's going to go straight, and it's coming towards me. Now, each train has a limited number of places it can go, and as long as you're on one of those potential paths, it will then turn to intercept you. In this case, this one can go in that lower rectangle near Whittleton / May Score, and also the upper rectangle nearby. That being said, if I turn too soon, it will then turn and try to attack me instead, so I don't want that to happen, obviously, so here's a little trick I've learned along the way. Get on one of these corners here, wait for the train to pass, and then you can continue on your way. This way you will miss it entirely. Up ahead, I stop and wait for this next train to see which way it's going to go. If it does continue going straight, then I will have to turn and go the long way around, but instead it turned, so I'm going to take the top route, just like I originally planned. This is all pretty self-explanatory, but just watch out, just watch your map and be prepared to change directions if the need arises. Also, remember that if you do mess up and miss a turn or go the wrong direction and you're like, oh, poop, you can always just back up and take a different rail. So just be prepared to back up if you go the wrong direction, and then you can, redo your rails or hit the route icon again, and then you can retrace it and make it go somewhere else. Back in Castletown, Zelda mentions Alfonso and Teacher. We can't actually do anything with them just yet, so you should just ignore her. We will come back here later for some later stuff, and we will talk with them then. But there is some other stuff we can do here. First of all, now that we have some money, you can head to the shop here, and we now have enough moolah to purchase a red potion. You can have up to 2 of these. You press your menu button in the bottom right corner, and then the potions will show up in the far left side of the menu. And you can have 2 of them at once, although I only recommend getting 1 at the moment. You can use it any time you want to refill 6 hearts. That's not really a lot, but for now that's more than enough. And if you have quite a bit of money, then you could also get some prize postcards, but in general, I think it's probably better to hold off on that until later in the game. Prize postcards are really awesome. You could get some potential treasure and stuff, but it's kind of expensive, and early on we have a lot of stuff that we need to purchase, so it'd be better to do that later in the game. Next up, we have a building in the bottom right corner of town called the Take 'Em All On Challenge, which is finally open for business. Inside, you can speak with the girl in the middle who looks very much like Jolene from Phantom Hourglass. Not the same person, though. Probably a descendant or something. And how it works is you pay her 50 rupees to choose a door. Right now, only the easy option is available, and inside you'll face off with tons of tough enemies in a series of rooms where you try to get to the end. There's no recovery hearts along the way, so the only way you could potentially heal is if you bring a potion like the one we just purchased. If you can successfully get to the end, she'll give you a prize, and trust me on this, it's worth it. Now, the first room here has 6 yellow spinets. They run towards you once you get close enough, and at this point there's only really 2 strategies you can use to deal with them. Either run into the middle of them and use side slashes and spin attacks to take them all out at once, or try to separate them and pick them off one at a time. Now, because it's important to hold on to your health as long as possible, you don't really want to risk getting hurt, so the latter of the 2 options, and playing a little more defensive is probably smarter. In the second room, we have a new enemy called an Octorok. These things have been seen in many Zelda games, and they move around slowly, but will occasionally shoot rocks in set compass directions, so north, south, east, west, etc. And if you have a shield, you can actually block their projectiles as long as you're facing towards them and you aren't slashing your sword currently. So you can use this, you can stop moving and then defend against it, and then quickly come towards them again and defeat them. This next room is a little tough. The rats are faster and slightly unpredictable, so you'll have to be careful that they don't sneak up on you. The bubbles, on the other hand, are a little more predictable, but they have a very wide range in which they can hurt you, so if you are slashing your sword in their direction, you could potentially hurt yourself. Now, probably the best technique to clear this room is just to use the whirlwind to just whirlwind the heck out of everything in sight, and then slaughter all the stunned enemies. This next room has red Choo-Choos, which are very easy. If you seriously get harmed in here, shame on you. These blast worms shouldn't cause you any problems. You want to hit them to make them curl into a ball, and then hit them again to make them explode. Now, if you're lucky, you could actually position them in such a way that when they explode, they kill their friends as well. Now, keys can be very sneaky, especially in groups. Their unpredictable nature makes them kind of hard to kill without having the other ones sneak up behind you. So you just want to be careful and try and take out one at a time. You're probably best off whirlwinding them. To defeat Mothulas, you have to wait until they shoot the bubbles at you and then reflect it back with the whirlwind. Now, they aren't that hard, but it's kind of a pain dealing with two of them at once. Now, if you accidentally use the whirlwind too soon, just be prepared to dodge if they reflect it back at you, because if they hit you with your own whirlwind, it will stun you and then they'll do damage to you. So more of the same. Just watch out for the Octoroks at the north side of the room because they'll be shooting projectiles the entire time. The two options are obviously to try and take out the Spinach first because they're in the way, or to sneak around behind and try and kill the Octoroks first and then finish off the yellow Spinach. Alright, here's a little tip for you guys. Notice how I get surrounded here. Now, I might have been able to just use a spin attack, but I could have gotten hurt that way, so instead, I purposefully walked into them and used my shield until I cleared myself a path out of there and could get out into a better position. So I'm purposefully walking left and right to hit the enemies on purpose. Now, the trick here to defeat them is to lure the enemies towards you and then take them out while watching out for any potential shots from the Octoroks. If you see the Octoroks starting to shoot, either dodge out of the way or stop attacking so that you can use your shield to defend. And finally, we have the boss that we faced in the Forest Temple, Stag Knox. Now, honestly, it's not that hard. Just wait until it tries to strike you, then circle around behind, and use the whirlwind to stun it, making it vulnerable. Just like before, you want to get rid of two of the blast worms and then use the final one to attack Stag Knox. You just want to use the whirlwind as the giant beetle is visible on the lower screen. So once it gets to the lower screen, you want to blow your gust of wind into your microphone and then stab away. Alright, my friends, that is how you complete the first difficulty of the Take 'em All On challenge. And here's your prize. I hope you like it. Yes, I think me likes it very much. Now, I told you it'd be worth it. Now, with another heart on the top left corner of our screen, it's finally time to head to the Tower of Spirits. That pretty much concludes this video, and for the remainder of it, I will simply be heading to the second floor of the tower. So if you'd like to skip straight there, then join me for the following video where I will show you how to acquire the second piece of the rail map, the Snowglyph. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the Take 'em All On building is kind of like the Cave of Ordeals 2.0 from Twilight Princess, which was released 3 years previous to when Spirit Tracks was released. So I think kind of what happened is that Nintendo released Twilight Princess and got to see what the fan reaction of the Cave of Ordeals was, and then after that they decided to kind of re-envision it and make it a little bit easier. Now just to give you some background, the Cave of Ordeals was a 50-floor dungeon filled with tough enemies, and there was no healing items along the way. There was a few recovery hearts you could find inside, but for the most part you were pretty much relying on potions to stay alive. And it was very difficult, by far the hardest part of that entire game. And it was also really kind of off in the middle of nowhere, so I think a lot of players actually did not even know it existed. But yeah, it was pretty cool, and I really enjoyed it. But I think what Nintendo was trying to do for this game was to make it a little easier and a little more accessible. So they put it in Castletown, made it in smaller chunks, so it wasn't quite so much of a challenge, wasn't so crazy and so lengthy. So it was little smaller chunks that had better prizes that were more awesome. So that's always good. So here we are back in the Tower of Spirits, and the music changes as you're climbing up this ramp. I think it's really cool. Anyway, so join me for the next video, and I will show you how to tackle the second floor of the Tower of Spirits.